Hello and welcome to the EEPROM 9. Some of you will remember this from very recently that I built. My first ever night vision scope, or monocular, or whatever you want to call it. Well, using the parts I got in that care package, I went ahead and built a Mark II version using the 3 cascade tube, which is basically 3 of the tubes that's in this cascaded together, but none of them had horrific screen burn. It turned out, in the video, the bit that had failed was this. So I just used the 15 kV self-contained module and used that. So this is dead, so I'm going to experiment with depotting this, because you never know, that could actually be, you could use parts of this to build more of these. So let's bring in the new scope. There's my hand for size comparison. And if you want a more sort of understandable size comparison to the size of this thing, a size reference, here's the mandatory ZX81. So it's a fairly large scope, actually. But yeah, we'll use our... What else are you going to use? Something like a coin? No, that's too obscure. You want to use something like a ZX81. So this has the 3 cascade tube in the middle, and what I did was I cut a slit, and you can see toilet paper or kitchen roll in this case, put electrical tape down on the inside, which is still stuck to the silicone and the tube, put the tube in it, and then glooped silicone, because, well, who doesn't have these floating around the house when you're a homeowner, let's be honest. Gunked it up, took a billion years to dry. Used the more adhesive version on the front and back because that's opaque. I was going to mix it in with some black paint as pigment, but never did that. Glued on this lens adapter for the rear element one onto the actual tube itself and attach this. But the nice thing is I can remove this electrical tape and actually unscrew this, so I can still play about with the position of the tube and thus the focus of the system, which is actually really cool. And there's enough play in here for me to push it all about and all that kind of jazz. But yeah, it uses the lens, this lens. It turns out this one actually has a little window in it that's actually quite useful. And actually allows light through. I think it's more IR light though, but yeah, the lens is still pretty high aperture. You can kind of see the element inside. You can kind of make out what is the front of the cascade, of the tube cascade. Then if you peer through the back, you're not going to be able to see much. But what I am going to do is take the phone outside, because, well, the phone's got the perfect sort of lens system to film this sort of thing compared to any other camera I have. And we will demonstrate it because it is now sufficiently dark outside to demonstrate it. But I added an on and off switch, so I can switch it on like just with a switch, or I can do it with a push button. And this thing can run on dead batteries and still give you decent gain. But if you want the best gain, you obviously want to put in brand new batteries. And the level of gain you get out this is amazing. You basically get equivalent to an early generation 3 night vision device. And in basically total darkness, it can light up a scene like it's daytime. It's pretty amazing. You could easily mount this onto a gun or something if you so desired, but I just want to use it as a night vision device for seeing in the dark. I might use it actually for potentially spotting things in nature and that kind of thing. I don't know how I'm going to use it, but I'm going to take it out on one of my bike rides out into in the middle of the night into the countryside at some point soon, so I can actually do some more testing of it in a field or something that's pitch dark, away from the town, away from any lights of civilization, and go from there. But yeah, the next part will be actually outside testing it and looking through the lens. And this one doesn't electrocute me all the time like this one, which is pretty awesome. I figured out the potting system, so it doesn't, because these run on like 15 to 16 kilovolts. Yeah, that hurts. So here we are out in the darkness, and this just gives you a comparison. For your reference, I'm actually using an Samsung S8, and as you can see, to the camera it's pitch dark. To me, I can basically see the silhouettes of the trees to the sky. Through this is with, let me get the lens lined up. There we go. So this is with, oh, the moon. Oh, that's bright. You can see the trail that leaves. You can see the silhouettes. You can see the trees. And this is with the cover down. So you can see a surprising amount of detail that you can't see with the eyes. And then if we go over towards the car park, it's very noisy. You can't really make anything out over there. So let's open the cover. The front. Suddenly everything's a lot brighter. You can clearly make out my car in the car park over there. You can make out details actually in the park there that's basically completely pitch black to my eyes. You can make out a lot more detail in the field, and this is better for my eyes than it is for this. But you can see the trees really clearly. You can see into the next field. It's like daylight, and you can see into the sky, and you can see all the stars in the sky, and the moon. The moon's like a giant spotlight of doom. You could actually use this for looking at stars, because, oh, is that the Milky Way? Ha! You can yeah, you could see the Milky Way through this if you wanted. You know, this is pretty damn smick for a piece of homemade equipment. And looking in the field there, it basically looks like it does in the day, just only green. And then you've got lighting over there on a house or something. Unfortunately, we've got spotlights in this direction, which will obviously be way too bright for the night vision. You can see the lovely trail effects on the phosphor. But yeah, that pretty much covers what you can see versus that. And aside from the fact you can see the silhouettes and stuff with your own eyes of like the trees, like you can there, you can actually make out details that you can't without the and you can see a lot more stars in the sky compared to what I can see with my naked eyes here. I mean, on the phone camera you can't see any stars, but yeah. Thanks for watching. I'm going to play around with my night vision a bit, and then I'm going to head back home because it's finished raining and it's cold and it's a clear night, even though it's the middle of summer. But yeah, as the Yanks would say, go figure. Is that a bug or something, or a lens reflection? I don't know. Coming back, being the next day, what's my overall conclusion of this thing? It is goddamn amazing. It is capable of really quite effective night vision. You know, the dark bits of the fields under the tree line, if someone was walking along the back, walking their dog or something in the night, because people do that, you'd have been able to see them clearly, much like you would in thermal imaging. And all that, the battery's going to die on my phone very shortly, so we'll keep this quick. And I was able to, this is amazing for stargazing, because I was peering up into the stars and you could see them all clearly. You could even use it to see the main, what's the part called with, I forget the name of it, the bit with all the stars in the like belt of the galaxy. That's it, galaxy belt. And all that. I didn't see any asteroids go through, but that's just because there were none at the point I was peering up. But I did see a satellite creeping past. Would have been awesome to have some radio receiver equipment to see what that satellite was transmitting. There are projects that allow you to do that, and that is something on one of my projects lists to do, is take data from things like weather satellites and decode it and get images of the Earth and that kind of stuff back. That would be awesome. Especially if you can get things like thermal images and that'd be awesome. But yeah, overall, pretty damn smick bit of kit. I might modify it with focus, which means I will need to find a way to make the lens move back and forth. But for now, fixed focus on infinity is perfectly fine for my sorts of use cases for this for the time being. And I do have a focusable lens, so there's plenty of opportunity to play with others. Getting hold of another 3 cascade tube though might be an interesting challenge, but aside from that, it's pretty damn successful project. A lot better than the initial prototype version, which is floating around somewhere. It's not in the bedroom at the moment, that's normally where it lives. Anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and hopefully it inspires you to actually go on and build your own night vision equipment, because it's actually really fun putting this stuff together.